Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today's video, as you've seen, we're just after hooking the slurry tanker onto the 6.9. We're not spreading slurry, but we are moving some water. We have a tank up in the top end of the yard, which I'll show you in a few minutes. It does get some water into it every year. I'll show you how the water runs into it, and then we do have to alleviate the pressure on that. We're taking a couple of loads out of it and dropping them into these tanks here. This tank here is about, I don't know whether you can see it there, but it's about 2.5–3 foot from the slats, so there's a little bit of space in it still. We're just going to drop one load in here, we'll drop another load into the tank here beside us, and by doing that it just leaves it a bit easier then for mixing and a little bit more water in it. So we'll probably put the tank over here as well. We'll probably drop a load into that too, and yeah, it'll just, as I say, leave it a bit easier for mixing, and it alleviates the pressure on the tank up there where the water's running into. So we've had a lot of rain, then a lot of frost, and we're back to the rain again. Absolute disastrous weather at the minute. No slurry gone out yet. The ban has left it with us a week ago today. We're okay for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'd say, capacity wise, so we're not too bad, and hopefully at that stage the weather will have picked up a bit and it'll be more suitable than spreading slurry. Slurry this time of the year, you don't get a lot of benefit out of it. You actually get very little benefit out of it other than relieving the pressure in your tanks, but do like to get some slurry out on grazing ground when you get into February, maybe around first, second week of February, because it does mean that you will have some early grazing. So it's kind of just what we always done, and it works well enough. You don't get the full benefit of the slurry, but at least you do get early grass. So yeah, it's just one of them things. Slurry tanker will have to get a little bit of TLC before it starts off in the slurry season. We'll give it a once over, needs a good wash, and we'll do a bit of greasing and maintenance to it. But yeah, it's a good order and not take very much to leave it ready to go. So we'll empty this tanker out, we'll go up to the top yard, and I'll show you why the water runs into that tank up there. Alright, so we're sucking out some slurry. I also just give the hose a little bit of a wash because it was all green from laying up the whole winter. So you can see the tank here is fairly full, but as I was saying, a lot of it is water. But what happens is the yard here, the pen washes down, comes across here every time it rains, and the water gets straight into the tank. That's one of the things. The other thing then that what can happen as well is there's a little bit of a dip down in this track here. Usually just catches the rainwater, runs it over into a drain over there. But there can be a build up of leaves, especially if it rains heavy, build up of leaves or dirt in that area there, and builds up here, and the water can flow into the tank. So at certain times of the year, could happen raining maybe late at night, you could end up with you could just end up with a lot of water flowing into the tank, you know, in a short space of time. The other thing that happened over the last few weeks, we had, with all the wet weather, we had to take in our bucket reared calves. So the bucket reared calves, the last few years we've kept them outside and it's worked okay, but the wet weather this year kind of bucked us, so we've had to take them in. So basically all these black guys are from some point on some of them, and a lot of the ones in this pen here, I think actually all the ones in that pen there, yeah, and there might be one or two in this pen, we're all outside up until a couple of weeks ago. But all the rain that we had, the weather just worked against us. Just the ground got too wet, and they were mucking up the ground, so we had to get them in. But they've done well, and the last few years where we've had them outside, they did very well when they were outside, so we had hoped to keep them out, but yeah, just the way it worked out. But anyway, tanker's full, get them down the bottom and empty it. Alright, so load number 3 is out and has been put into this tank. So you can see, oh, it's probably still 3 foot on this tank here, so there's room for our stock. We'll stick another load into it if we needed to. That tank there has only got about 18 inches to go, so it hasn't got as much space, but we're sticking a load in here. and it'll tie us over for the next few weeks until hopefully we get a bit of slurry out if the weather is working with us. We'll see. So just before we get fully started, I have started to put some of the silage in the feeder, but just before I set the camera up in the cab, the silage pit. So what is the silage like? Well, good and bad. It's probably how to describe it. The first cut silage, which goes basically up to about, I think we're up to about here somehow, is very nice. Second cut silage up above that, not as good. Not as good. First cut silage was cut, is actually first cut here in this row, and it was cut in late, lovely silage, it was cut in late May. Plenty of leaf left on it, and very happy with the quality of it. Second cut silage was cut towards the end of July, early August, and the problem with it was we had a really warm spell of weather, a couple of warm spells of weather where the grass headed and shot out earlier than what it should have, and by doing that it meant that it was a much stemmier crop. Now at the time we did think about maybe cutting it early, but if we'd have cut it early we wouldn't have had enough silage for the winter. It was kind of a catch-22 situation, so we were kind of stuck in the middle. So we opted to leave it a few weeks longer, let it bulk up a bit, even though the quality of it was going to be affected, and that's what we have, quality affected silage. And what we're finding what it is, these blocks were cut out yesterday. Firstly, it's not as nice as silage, it's much stemmier, it's actually a lot drier as well. You can see that it's very dry, very little moisture in it. But what we're finding is, if you leave it, see there's a little bit of mould starting to show in places there just at the corners. If you cut it out and leave it for a couple of days, then it will start to go off a little bit, whereas the first cut silage won't. You can cut it out, you can leave it there for a week, it won't go off. And like what we usually do is, I mentioned this before, we come into the shear grab, I'd cut out 20 blocks of silage, put them in a couple of rows here, and I have enough silage then to do me 2-3 days, whatever it is, and it saves having to hook the grab on and off every day, but it also helps to keep the yard kind of tidy. You lift the block of silage with the bucket, you're not having a lot of stuff falling through the prongs and all over the yard. You scoop it up, you give it a little bit of a shake, and away you go. You know, you got all your silage with you. The other added advantage is I have a block of silage there. I know roughly every block is around 450 kilos. So if I only want 200 kilos, I can scoop it, split it in half, scoop up the half of it, and take it and put it in the feeder. So yeah, it's just easier to manage the silage. I always found it that way. That's just how we worked. But the fact that we do that and cut the blocks out was causing some issues. So we're not cutting out as many blocks. I just cut these out yesterday. There's a few left over. I'm just going to feed them now. And yeah, it's just something that you just have to watch out for. The first cut silage here, that's been fed to the younger stock and the beefing cattle. Not that the beefing cattle's only getting a very small amount on their ration, but still there is a little bit going in there along with straw. It's really only as a roughage. And the cows is what's eating most of the second cut silage. They're doing okay on it. You know, they're probably not, they don't love it, but it is what it is. And at the same time, even though the quality isn't what I would like, at least we have it. You know, it'd be worse if you had to start going out and the price of silage is and have to start to buy it. It would be a total and utter disaster. So yeah, am I happy with the quality? No. Am I happy to have it? Yes, certainly am. So that's the silage and how it has turned out. But we're getting through it quite rightly. We're nearly 3 lengths in, you can see there, out of 5 lengths, but we are getting out to the highest part of it. So there's probably about half the silage is still left in our round, and we would like to think at this stage we're over half of the winter is done. So yeah, get it used up hopefully, and have it all gone before the cattle get out, because we'd like to be rid of all this and have new silage in then in the summer. Alright, so I've just finished filling the feeder for the cows. So just let that mix for a minute. I have to open the door here anyway, and I can get that done and be ready to discharge out feeder fill number 1. I haven't done many videos up in the last, I don't know, since the end of November, I suppose. The main reason for that actually is related to, well, one, there's not that much going on other than feeding and general bits and pieces like that, but I've also had another issue with one of my eyes. Actually, it's affected both of my eyes. Well, I had a build up pressure in this eye to the point where I thought it was actually going to explode one night. I had to go to the hospital and got job done on it, but I ended up having to get laser surgery done on it to try and help to relieve the issues that's wrong with it. So yeah, that was one of the reasons I can't look at computer screens or iPads or that kind of stuff for editing for hours, and that was it. The YouTube videos just kind of had to take a little bit of a backseat till it settled down. It has improved a little bit. I'm still on drops, which is causing me to have blurred vision, and it's actually affecting my peripheral vision, so I can't sides I can't really see that much out, so I'm having to keep a good eye when I'm doing anything or driving. So good eye. But yeah, if you get another job now done, a laser job done on this eye, and hopefully then I'll be able to reduce back on the drops. I think I have to stay on drops for a while anyway, but I'll be able to reduce back some of the drops, and it'll settle down the vision, and please God it'll all be alright, because you don't want anything going wrong with your eyes, certainly not. So yeah, that's been a bit of a pain, quite literally, and yeah, that's just in case anyone was wondering where the video was over the last while. There's knock-on effects too with migraines and headaches and stuff like that, so it's been driving me around the twist. I can't wait till it's sorted out, but yeah, hopefully get the other laser job done in the next few weeks. Alright, so a little bit of feeding footage, and you may have seen Dad heading off to collect a load of feed potatoes in the middle of all that as well. So yeah, plenty going on at the minute. We've also got a bit of a job to do on this spreader. So, I mentioned this before, I said that this was on the cards, never got around to doing it, but we're going to have to do something with it now. Bought the spreader, it was about 4 years ago now, and there was a bit of rust on these. I call them greedy boards, but some people might call them extensions, either or. Bit of rust on them. It's been on them from really when we purchased it, and yeah, we'll have to do something with it. You can see paint all flaking off, quite badly rusted, almost at the point of a hole there, I'd say. At that point, I'd say if you had a screwdriver you could put a hole in it. So we're going to be taking off the cover initially, and we'll take off then the 3 extension pieces, and we're going to be getting new ones of them folded. There might be 1 or 2 of them that's not too bad, but it is few and far between. They're all pretty much done for, I think. They mightn't be too bad. We'll see when we get them off, but I will be making a video on it, on this project as I'm doing it. So yeah, hope to maybe later in the week get them all loosened off, get them away, get new ones folded that's needed, we'll get them painted, and we'll bang them all on, because we are going to need it. I know we do use mostly, we've used mostly liquid fertiliser last year, but this year we'll be using some granular. Certainly we'll be using granular on the compound fertiliser on the crops. So yeah, want to have it fixed up for that, because you'll not find that coming along at this stage either. So it's just one of those jobs we want to get done and dusted over the next month or so and just have it ready. So yeah, you'll see that a little bit later on in the video, so, or in the week, in the next video. So that is it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed the bit of a catch up and a look at the project that's coming up here behind us. If you enjoyed it and want to see more, don't forget to hit the sub button, leave a like in the video, comment down below if you have any questions, of course, and I will try to get back to you in the comment section. That's it for today's video. Until the weekend, see you in the next one.